Like something in them woods. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the discussion. I'm John. I hope you guys are having a happy Halloween horror month. In this episode, what I want to do is give a few of my recommendations for the top 5 or 6 best horror movies to watch on Halloween that take place on Halloween. And I know everyone is doing their own list, and there are a lot that pop up on list after list. So what I hope to do is throw a couple at you that maybe you haven't heard of, maybe you haven't seen, and give you maybe a new discovery that'll be a possible favorite going forward. That being said, be sure to stick around after we hit number 1 on the list, because I do have an honorable mention that is definitely worth catching. Now, I would love to find out some that I haven't seen as well, so in the comments, let me know what are some of yours. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe, ring the bell, let's get started. Now, this list isn't necessarily in any kind of level of favorites or anything like that, but I will say we're gonna start off with 6 being The Exorcist. Now, I know I just told you that I'm gonna give you movies that no one's ever heard of before, and pretty much everybody's heard of The Exorcist by now. The reason it is number 6 on the list, however, is because it does happen at Halloween, but it's kind of coincidentally so. It's not a huge part of the plot. It doesn't have a lot of import into the events that are going on, but if you haven't seen it, it's worth seeing. I mean, just the legacy of it. So you can say you've seen the scariest movie of all time. Whether you agree or not, I mean, you need to at least check it out once. And for what they did in the 70s, it's pretty incredible. So highly recommended. Number 5 on this list is going to go to a relative newcomer. It's going to be Terrifier. It technically came out in, I think, 2016, but didn't really get a wide release until 2018. Now, Terrifier undeniably happens on Halloween. The entirety of the movie happens on Halloween, and it's cool. I'll put it this way, this one will stick with you. The villain, Art the Clown, is terrifying, appropriately named, and he's just unnerving to look at. He will just look at you and he won't look away, and if you try to antagonize him, whatever, he won't do anything about it, which makes it even weirder. Like, it's like poking a sleeping bear, as it were, you know, and then you're just waiting for him to, and when he does, whew, it's crazy. But be warned, if you're sensitive to gore or any kind of like hyper violent stuff, this probably isn't for you. It's safe to say this movie takes it further, I think, than any other slasher movie I've ever seen. So if you do watch it, know what you're getting yourself into. Number 4 is Haunt. Now, if you watched the last video that we did about some of the easiest ways to ruin a horror movie, then we listed Haunt as one of the prime examples of a movie that does low budget right. So once again, this is very new, 2019, just came out. And one of the best things about it is that it being so new and not having a wide release, most people haven't seen it. So if you're getting together with friends on Halloween, this is a great one to put on. It's really snappy, got a really nice pace to it. It's a great viewing with a group, you know, a lot of humor in it, but a lot of scares also. And probably one of the coolest things about this, in addition to it taking place on Halloween night, is that it taps into what is one of the biggest fears of my wife, which is that it takes place in a haunted house that you would go to, you know, like one, not like old ghost haunted house, like, you know, Halloween haunted house. And it plays with the idea of, what if you go to one of these places and the staff there actually real psychopaths? They trying to kill your ass. I know it's not on Netflix, but it is available on digital, on demand, those kind of places for rent for like $3. So that one, you can't go wrong. Number 3, House of a Thousand Corpses. Now, this is a Rob Zombie movie, so if you don't like Rob Zombie, you're not gonna like this one. Once again, another one that's not for everyone, but this one has stuck with me. I remember when it came out, and I was still in college, and I remember having a group of friends come over to watch it, and we were all just floored at the end of it. This is prior to a lot of Zombie's other movies. Obviously, this is the first entry into what would become a trilogy with Devil's Rejects and then 3 from Hell that just came out. But I would say this year, more so than any other year, it's worth putting it on because, unfortunately, rest in peace, Sig Hag, the guy who played and amazingly well Captain Spaulding in this film. So in kind of remembrance, if nothing else, then it's worth a watch. But you also get some other cool little cameos in there as well. You get a pre-Dwight from The Office, Rainn Wilson, in there. This came out 2 years before the US version of The Office aired, so it's kind of funny to see him before all that. He's nothing like Dwight. But I think that what really makes this one so impactful is it's the art of shooting horrific events in a beautiful way. The colors in this movie are just vibrant and all over the place, and it feels Halloween as hell. It's creepy as hell too. So if you're ready for a Rob Zombie movie, then this is the one I would recommend. In my opinion, it's his best. Number 2, Halloween. How can you have a Halloween list and not have the Halloween series on it? It's not always about you, Micah. Now, I'm not forgetting what I said. I'm not bullshitting you. Everyone talks about the first Halloween ad nauseum. It's cool. There are alternative Halloweens that I would recommend, and for those I would say either part 4 or part 6. And I say that because it's more about the cinematography, the colors. It feels fall, and it has, especially part 6, like a lot of really vibrant orange pumpkins and like purples and just all these different hues. There's like a big Halloween radio show / party thing that happens, you know, and so you get that kind of carnival festival vibe from it. And speaking of actors getting their start, you get to see Paul Stephen Rudd in his very first movie, and this was his first one, and Clueless was his second one, and now he's Ant-Man. But man, Halloween is Halloween. Number 1, now this one is with a purpose. It's number 1 because it really is my number 1 favorite movie to watch on Halloween, and that's Trick or Treat. It's so good, and I know that, you know, over the years it's developed a more of a following from people, but to this day I still think that most people have never heard of it, and it's a crime, man. It's the most Halloween looking, feeling movie I've ever seen. Like, everything is drenched in orange hues and all the costumes and the jack-o'-lanterns, and I mean, literally the entire movie is about you need to properly celebrate Halloween and pay respect to it, because if you don't, it can come back and get your ass. So yeah, man, it's about appreciating Halloween, and on top of that, it's an anthology story, so it's a bonus. It's like you get 4 or 5 movies in one, and the way they tie them all together at the end is brilliant. And it's not really crazy on gore. It's not really crazy on really anything I think that would put most average moviegoers off. So this is one you can definitely put on with friends over. Hell, you could probably even watch this one with family. So yeah, that would be my number 1 for sure. Now, while that's the list, I do have one honorable mention, and the reason I have to put it as an honorable mention is that it never directly states in the movie when the events take place. I'm talking about The Witch. It's amazing. Now, my personal experience with The Witch and why it had to make it onto this list is because I remember when my wife and I first saw it. It was Halloween a couple of years ago, and I remember that particular October, I felt like that, you know, we'd really dropped the ball and not watched as much horror, not really done the whole month of October as Halloweenish as I would have hoped, and I was feeling kind of bummed on Halloween itself. We see The Witch, we decided to put it on and watch it, and by the end of that movie, I counted my Halloween a complete success. Now, it is what some people would call a slow burn, so if you're looking for something that's just like wild, crazy jump scares and just action going all the way through and some pumping score, it's not that kind of movie. It knows psychological horror. When they can just point a camera at the forest and it's just a still shot, and then this like creepy Gregorian kind of woo is going on in the background, and it just like is unsettling, and you just don't know why, but it's like, oh, there's something in them woods. It's so good, and at the end of the movie, it lets you know exactly why you should be scared of those woods. I don't care if it takes place on Halloween or not. It's a Halloween must for me. Alright, so you guys have my word. Any of the movies that have appeared on this list, I stand by any day of the week, but especially on Halloween. If there's anything you guys would recommend, I would love to hear it. I'm always looking to find new movies. And once again, if you guys enjoyed the video, do us a solid and hit subscribe, throw us a like. It goes a long way, and really appreciate it. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Catch you guys next time.